another episode of the Hollywood Critics Association Longbox, where we connect the comic books to your favorite TV shows and movies. Now, I'm Tessa Smith. You guys can find me everywhere at Mama's Geeky, mamasgeeky.com, Mama's Geeky here on YouTube, Mama's Geeky on Twitter, Mama's Geeky on Instagram, Mama's Geeky on TikTok, Mama's Geeky, just Mama's Geeky everywhere.
And I'm Jonita Davis. You can find me at the Black Cape, Black Cape Media on YouTube, and the blackcape.com online, and Jonita L. Davis, the little thing right there, on Twitter and all of social media, actually. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she has some incredible stuff at mamasgeeky.com as well.
Yes,
guys. So make sure you check that out. Yes, some amazing stuff. Listen, she gets into it, and I love it. Today we have just a couple things to talk with you guys about. Just two things. First, Eternals. Okay. Don't worry, we are going to be completely spoiler free, but we will be getting into reviews. So if you like to go into something completely blind, come back to this after it comes out. It comes out on the 5th. We've both seen it. I was at the premiere. I'm so excited to talk to other people about this. And then at the end, we'll do a quick few minutes on Titans Season 3 wrapped up. And they announced at DC Fandom we are getting a Titans Season 4. So we're going to kind of give our thoughts on what the heck could happen in that. Because it felt like they tied it up in a neat little bow at the end of Season 3. So I'm excited,
we need a ship name for Dogfire and Connor. Yeah. We need to get a ship name for them because it's happening. So did you see the hand holding at the end?
Mm-hmm, I did. I know. I was sad they had to separate. I was very sad for them. All right. But let's talk Eternals. So if you guys haven't seen my review already, I literally have an almost 30-minute review up on my YouTube channel. And it's spoiler-free with no spoilers. I have so much to say about this movie. I thought it was amazing. I mean, so here's the thing. There's 10 characters to talk about. More than 10, really, if you include the other people. That's why it's easy enough to cover. It takes a long time to cover all these people. That's why the movie was so long. And so it's a dense movie. And it's not like anything Marvel has done before, in my opinion. I think it's so fantastic what they did. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. But they took 10. I mean, how do you take 10, 12, really, if you count Crow and Dane, and just dump them in and be like, here, we're going to talk to you about all these characters, and we're going to let you actually get to know these characters. I thought there was no way they were going to pull it off. Even with 2 hours and 40 minutes, I don't know how they're going to do it and do it well. And for me, they did. I became attached to all of these characters, and it might help that I know them in the comics a little bit, but I just really thoroughly enjoyed it. And guys, we are going to do, after Eternals comes out, we'll sit and break down the differences between the comics and the film, but that would get too into spoilers. So we're not going to do that today. But I've got a lot of stuff that they changed. Some I liked, some I didn't like. So
do you have homework for us? Because I need to read up on some things.
Listen, read the Jack Kirby run and the Neil Gaiman run. Those are two. There's a current one right now.
Wait. Neil Gaiman wrote Eternals.
Oh yeah.
How did I not know this?
It's so good too. It's so good.
How did I miss this?
It's my favorite. I love the Jack Kirby run because it's Jack Kirby, but it is dense. It is a lot of reading because back in the day, comics were here's a whole paragraph about what's happening, and then you can read the dialogue, and it's the same thing, and you're like, hello, this is too much reading. I feel like I'm reading a novel here. The Neil Gaiman is it's phenomenal. I can't remember when it came out, but you can get it on Amazon, the trade paperback or whatever they call it. Omnibus, whatever you want to call it. I love that run. I've read it again, right before seeing the movie. I read it on the plane going out to the premiere just to refresh my memory and be right back in it. And it's so good. And they take little things. I mean, the differences I can talk about real quick is some of the characters are male in the book and female because they really wanted to even it out. Thena and Cersei are really the only females in the books. So they wanted to make it more even. Makari is a male, Ajak is a male, and Sprite is a boy. Sprite is a boy as well. So, but I mean, not major differences. So That, I mean, I'm always fine with gender swapping.
I'm on my phone, like, getting the book.
Yeah, that's it. It's so good. It's so good. I think you'll really like it. And it helps you get to know the characters a little more, too. I think people who have read the comics or at least kind of breeze through some stuff will enjoy it more because they'll know a little bit more about the characters. Although I do feel like they did a great job. Now, you hadn't read any going into this. So did you feel like they did a good job, like, fleshing out these characters and you got to know them, considering there's so many?
Yeah, well, see, it didn't feel like it took 2 hours and 2.5 hours. I kind of went into, when it got to the end, I'm like, okay, this is supposed to be 2 hours long. What else do we have? And it's like, oh, it has been 2 hours. Okay.
That was me too. Yeah. It was wrapping up and I was like, wait, has it been, they take your phone at the premiere. So I couldn't even, and our watches, they took our watches because I don't know why we could record or something. So I didn't even know what time it had been. And I'm like, this can't be. And then it ended and I was like, wow, that actually flew by for its length.
Yep. And I do think that I had every character fleshed out, even the ones that, it's like, oh, I know these from the Greek gods.
Yes, right.
Like Athena. But it's like, no, she's been different here. But I felt like I really got to know her. My take on it, I loved it. This is not, I mean, I agree with you that it's not a superhero film in the way that we think of a superhero film. I love that Chloe Zhao was like tapped to do this because I don't think that a comic book guy could have done it.
Yeah, I agree.
They would have been too stuck on how these characters appear, to them and how they've always felt. And I think we needed somebody to come from the outside and deconstruct the whole world like she did in Nomadland.
Yes.
Chloe Zhao is Chinese, everybody. I mean, you didn't know. She's Chinese.
If you've been living under a rock and you have never seen her.
Yeah, if you've been living under a rock, she's like completely Chinese. She's not American. But she came and read Nomadland and like deconstructed that whole world from, a person outside of the culture's point of view and then put it back together and gave us the beautiful Nomadland, which I still think is a little boring. But that's okay.
I did not like that movie. I thought it was pretty.
It was beautiful, though.
Yeah,
it was beautiful.
It's so depressing and boring.
It is, but you still got to give her props though. How she took it apart and put it back together, and I think she did that with Eternals. She just kind of deconstructed it all and then found all the parts that were the essence of all the characters, and I think we got that.
Now, the crazy thing you got to think about is this was actually filmed and done before Nomadland, but because of pushes and everything, it's moved. So this was actually before Nomadland.
If you look at her film before Nomadland too, it's the same thing. Same thing. Her approach is the same.
Right, exactly. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
It's a great take, and then I still felt like, because I've seen a lot of people say to me, oh, it's not your typical Marvel movie. Is there like no action? And I'm like, no, there's action. And the action is amazing when you get it. There's still action.
There's gore. I mean,
I love that.
There's like meat slicing going on. Can I say meat slicing?
Yeah. I mean, it's insane. So, and then there's some stuff which it's out there, but I don't want to dive into it yet just because I know some people are trying to stay super spoiler free, but there's a couple of firsts. There's 2 major firsts for the MCU. There's 2 different scenes, which we can talk about in like 2 weeks after it comes out, but major stuff. And I know it's been introduced in in interviews and all that, but I know some people have like the words muted and are trying to avoid stuff, but one's very important and one was very well done.
You're gonna have to tell me about those when we get done, because I was one of those that had Eternals muted.
Oh yeah.
After the Variety guys just kind of spilled everything. Like I saw you're like talking about Lizzo and I'm like, oh, that's cute, and then I'm like reading along some of the other reactions, like, oh wait, you're not, don't say that, and then I'm
right. It was too much. Yeah. So guys, great news! Lizzo survived the blip. She survived the snap. Because her 2019 song is in the movie, and that means she had to have been alive after the snap to make it. So there we go. Yes. Facts, guys.
Facts. Not a spoiler.
No, that's not. I know someone was like, "That's a spoiler." I was like, "That her song is in the movie? It's not really a spoiler."
No, I think she said it. Maybe
she did say it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I really love the way it was put together, and I don't think anyone, I don't even think you or I could have done this because we know we're so close to comics.
Exactly.
I think it took somebody outside of comics to put this together, and that's why it feels like it's different, but I think it has to feel different.
Yeah.
It has to, you know?
It's setting up for so much, too. Like, this has just kicked open the doors for Phase 4, even more than... I mean, you just compare this to with all the multiverse stuff we know we're getting, and, like, things are going to get crazy. We've got space. We've got Celestials who look incredible. How amazing did the Celestials look?
Out of this world.
Yeah.
They're like I've not seen anything like them before. I was trying to think of where I've seen them and where this look comes from, and all I could think of was oh, it's gone. It's gone. The cartoon about the big robot. In the 90s. Yeah.
Not Iron. Is it Iron Giant?
Iron Giant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the closest I can get to.
But they're like a billion times the size.
Yes. And so Iron Giant was like the closest I could get for the look of those. I'm like, what do they look like? What do they look like? It's like Iron Giant. But like a trillion size, a trillion, you know, bigger. And just the fact that they open the world up to where you have these people who are, you know, the Celestials, and you have the Eternals. So it's like, we not only have superheroes, there's like another level.
I know.
And another level after that.
And the deviants who are like below humans. It's crazy how much this is. Which I loved. And there's little tiny nods to some stuff in the comics, like very small. Like, this is not a spoiler, but in the comics at one point they say Sprite, because Sprite is a boy in the comics. They say Sprite is the real Peter Pan, right? And then in this they call Sprite like Tinkerbell at one point, and because it's the girl, and it's little stuff like that, which is like, that's barely a nod to the comic, but like it made me smile because I was like, oh, that's like, they totally took that from Neil Gaiman's story when he said Sprite is the real Peter Pan. That's why they shoved in that Tinkerbell real quick. Just little stuff like that for comic book fans, but enough to change it where it's just so... Like, massive is the word that comes to mind with this movie, right? Large scale, massive. It covers so much time, like actual time, right? And they go, the way they go back and forth, I loved. Because a lot of people said, is it like in a chronological time order? And it's not. No. And I don't think that would have worked.
No.
I think you needed to go back and forth and flashbacks, and like, this is them now, this is them in this time, this is them now, this is them in that time, this is them now, this is them in this time. But it worked that way. And I think if they tried to go like, here's when the Eternals came to Earth, and here's now, it just wouldn't have, it would have been too messy, I think. Too much, too slow.
Yeah, you had to cover, these are these people, and this is their history, and this is it, you know, so you had to, it took that for background, but it wasn't jerky movements. It wasn't like a jarring shift back and forth. I like that.
And just
I have this theory set up, you know, in my head. Now, well, not really a theory, just a way of thinking of this whole thing, because they kept talking about family.
Yes.
And I think I relate it to this movie because I think it relates to a lot of the family dynamic that we see in, you know, like people who have like large families or, you know, POC culture, where, you know, you have these people in your family who everybody's family no matter what. Nobody gets turned away. Nobody you can hate them all you want, but they're still your family. You know, and I know some, you know, some families there's like estrangement all over, but I know especially in my huge family, you know, it's like, okay, you've got a beef with that cousin of yours, but you're going to see him for Thanksgiving or the reunion or whatever. So you better suck it up and be nice, you know? And so I felt a little bit of, you know, oh, this is like the family dynamics that we have because they kept saying family first of all. And I felt that dynamic that was kind of going on between them. Yes, these are all separate people. They are all different. The look is different ethnicities. I think they're from different races of people, I want to say.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
or species even. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're different people. And but still they're the only ones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so that's another thing too, when you're like, because I know a lot of people of color, you're in a community where you're the only person of color there. Your family may be like the only Asian family in the neighborhood. I grew up in a space where I was like, my family was the only black family in the school district.
Wow. In the whole school district?
Yeah, we desegregated the school in 92, and 91. It was wild.
Wow, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, but it's like, I would get into a fight, and I put this in the review that I'm writing up. I would get into a fight with my brothers at home, but I couldn't stay mad at them, because if something happened at school that was like really, really mind blowing, and I had to work it out, and I couldn't tell my mom, who was very, very strict and prone to like overreacting. My brothers were my only people to go to. So it's like, okay, I know we have this fight, you know, and some of the Eternals are like that, you know, they cannot stand each other, but it's like, but we're the only ones, and you're the only person I can talk to about it. So let's put that aside and talk about this problem. And I'm like, this is such, that nuanced POC culture family dynamic is so in there and wrapped all the way through, even with the deviants, you know, that ratchet side of the side of the family that you don't talk about, that you don't see, and maybe they're in prison.
Maybe they're in prison. Oh my gosh.
So I just really, that's how I can relate to this. I can relate to how they're feeling about one another. I know people are gonna want certain relationships to be like sexual romantic, and I'm like, I can see how they're not.
Yeah, right.
Because of the family dynamic that they have, you know, and being the only ones, they have to have this special bond, that it doesn't surprise me that certain relationships are not sexual.
Right, exactly. Well, I get exactly what you're saying. And then the one thing I do like too is they have Sprite. I love that they throw a Sprite in there. I just think it's so smart. And again, even back to the comics, even back to Jack Kirby, being the one, literally the one out of all of them, that, because they don't age, right? So, but they all look like adults, except Sprite is stuck in this child's body, you know, and just that struggle, and that, yeah, the Eternals for the most part might treat Sprite more grown up, but humans never will, because they are hiding amongst them, right? They're not letting them know they're Eternals. And they're looking at Sprite thinking she's like this 13-year-old girl or however old. And she's never going to get to, like, in her mind, she's never going to be able to be in a relationship. She's never going to be able to drink. She's never going to be able to do experience stuff she wants to experience, you know? And then she's also the one who's stuck with that power of illusion, which I just find it so interesting. And it's something I loved from the comics, that this person who is forever stuck in this has this power of all the powers, it's illusion. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of love that. And I think it's so hard to say without going into spoilers, but I love where they went with Sprite. And there's some of that in the comics as well, which we will talk about in 2 weeks after the movie is out, which I'm excited to dive into, because I thought it was done very, very well. And I'll have to tell you off screen, because I know you're like, I'm not waiting 2 weeks, Tessa. So I will tell you, I'll tell you when we get off here.
But no, I think, and I really get that. And even when Sprite had the little breakdown tantrum at the end, I think that was kind of the illusion, like engulfing her, you know, and she just kind of fell into it. Yeah, I really felt bad for Sprite. I really, really did. It's
gotta be hard to, like, you know, you're thousands of years old and people treat you like a little child. It's like, come on, you know?
Yeah, but each of them had like a flaw like that.
That's the thing. They feel almost human, right? And that's what I loved about this. This felt like humanizing these characters, which are basically gods, and in the comics they are gods, and of course everyone has their flaws, but you know, like Icarus would never have a flaw, and like Athena would never have a flaw, and it's so interesting how Chloe tackled this, and it felt like a love letter to humanity, kind of, you know, especially through Cersei, who loves humans so much. I mean, I think her first line, or one of her first lines, she's out looking at the earth and she's like, isn't it beautiful? You know? And it's just, she instantly fell in love. I think that might be her first line in the movie, if not very close to.
Yeah, it's early. It's very, very early on.
Yeah.
And that appreciation is there. And so, and I remember, and it's like all the way throughout, people were, it was like that, protect the humans, but okay, this is why the frustration with having to step back and not being able to do it the way they so I think that explains what people were talking about was why didn't they intervene in the snap? And I think they tackled that all the way throughout the movie. That's did. Like an ongoing conversation. It's not. I was hoping it would be. I was hoping that it wouldn't be something that they would be like, oh, you know, blah, and then
one line and then move on.
Yeah. No, well, it's an ongoing issue. It's like the actual problem that they face, and it breaks. I mean, it like.
They have to stop each other from interfering sometimes because they just become so overwhelmed with what's going on. And then even like Fastos, who is the one who
he's the blurred.
He's the blurred. He can make stuff. He he wants to help them technologically advance. So he like subtly does it, right? Like don't they say like, oh, can't you kind of hint at this? And he kind of makes it to get them to advance, but then he's realizing, and this was talked about in the press junket, so I know it's not considered a spoiler because we were allowed to post about it. He, helps them technologically advance. And then he sees that their technological advances cause war and other stuff. And so he has to deal with this internal struggle of like, he basically says like, this is my fault at one point, So again, it's that everyone has a struggle. Thena has a massive struggle dealing with trauma. We cannot really talk about that at all because I feel like that's a major part of the plot.
For a goddess, though.
Yes,
the goddess of war. And what they gave her to deal with throughout, I'm like, oh, that was good. That was smart. Yeah. That was smart. Did they come from the comics?
Good. Yes, not really. So the comics, I don't know how to. In the comics, I will tell you, I can say this because if you read the Neil Gaiman run, you're going to know. So in the comic books, all of them kind of forget who they are. At the very beginning, they think they're human, they're going through life and all this stuff. And you find out Sprite has completely messed with them to the point, caused these illusions to the point where they think they're human, right? Yeah. Very Sprite of Sprite. And it's so that Sprite is a boy, but he's like, a TV star, he's a pop star, like he's super popular, and whenever he gets interviewed and they say what's next, he's like puberty, like he just really wants to grow up, right? That's like all he cares about in life. And now in the comic books, if one of them dies, they just get reborn in a rebirthing chamber. So the point is Sprite doesn't want any of them to die because if they get reborn, they're going to figure out that, oh yeah, I'm an eternal. Like they're going to remember. So it's very interesting. That's kind of the concept of the Neil Gaiman story, which I really love. And I feel like there's bits and pieces weaved in the movie, but that's what I loved about this is the Jack Kirby run. There's bits and pieces in the movie. The Neil Gaiman run, there's bits and pieces in the movie. Even the new run, which I'm only, I think 3 issues in, I need to catch up. But I've already noticed bits and pieces. So it felt like Chloe took and Marvel took little tiny things, but then completely gave us a new story, which I know we've talked about many times on here, but I love that as a comic book fan because I like to go in and not know what's going to happen. To go in and be surprised. And there were some things that happened. I thought, I know for sure where this is going. They're going to do this from the comics. And then they didn't. And I was like, what? Like my mind was blown. And it means so much more, I think, where you have these characters you know and love and the basis of them, yes, but like they switch stuff up to surprise you. Like even the most hardcore fans are going to be like, wait, what? That's what I love. That's what I love when they do that. Because I don't want to just see everything I read on the screen. I mean, sure, I would still watch it and I'm sure I would enjoy it, but it's not going to surprise me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not going to have that, okay, 2 hours just flew by and it didn't feel like it moved.
If
you're watching and you know what's going to happen. I think too, having the movie be like this. Like it felt like an epic journey. It felt like you know, like a myth, a Greek myth, playing out on screen. And so I think having that kind of air of this is something different, this is something kind of more elevated. I think that kind of helped out too, to kind of get into okay, so this story is going to be kind of new, but kind of not.
Right. I thought it was so good. I came home and I knew people were going to want my updated ranking. And so I saw it at the premiere, and I had almost a week until embargo broke. So I thought, I have time. I was flying. I was traveling all day one of the days. So I watched bits and pieces of some of my favorite movies, right? My favorite Marvel movies, to kind of, where do I put it? And I had a struggle. So where to place it with Black Panther, which is in my top 5. Love Black Panther for so many reasons. And I went back and forth on which way it would go. And ultimately, I did put Eternals in front of Black Panther at number 4 in my entire MCU ranking. And
I'll allow it.
Yeah. It was very hard.
Wait. What's 1 through 3? What's 1 and 1?
Okay. So 1 is Infinity War. Okay. 2 is Guardians. I mean, surprise for me. Okay, that's not a shock. Listen, Guardians is going to be, you guys should be surprised it's not number 1. And then Endgame.
Yeah.
And then Eternals, and then Black Panther. That's my top 5. And of course, here's the other thing though. Like, people get upset about my ranking. They were looking at it because I shared it on Letterboxd. And I'm like, what you need to know is that literally my top 10 are all 5 out of 5 movies. So for me, it's hard when you get that they're all, for me, perfect movies, or almost perfect. Perfect enough that, like, I can't knock any points off. You know what I mean? And so it's hard to figure out where they fit when I'm like, I freaking love all these movies, you know? And then my next, like, 6 movies are 4.5 out of 5s. So, and I think my lowest one is a 2.5 out of 5, which is still, it's a good movie. Like, that's how I am with Marvel. Like, I can't help it. I grew up on Marvel. I've been reading comic books since I was 8. I will always have a little bias towards Marvel. It's just how it's going to be. And my lowest one is Incredible Hulk. And I think it's mainly, I've rewatched it recently, and I just think it's weird to not see Mark Ruffalo, and it completely takes me out of it. And I know that's my own personal issue, but I can't help it.
No, I agree with
you know, I agree with you. It feels like it doesn't fit to me, but you know. Anyway, now we're off topic. But
no, I agree. No, I agree. I think Eternals to me breaks enough ground that it should be in the top 5.
It's so good. Like I said, those
first your rankings, but
I'm sure Guardians isn't in your top 5.
No, I have a personal. I actually really love the first Guardians. I really did. But I really love Shang-Chi. It's in my top 5.
That's my I think 6 or 7 it was. It was something, what had just gotten booted? I don't know. I forget. I can tell you Civil War got booted from number 10 to number 11. And I'm also including the TV shows too in here. So that's where it gets a little convoluted as well.
Oh, well, like, then you just, okay, let me think about this. I got to think about
because Loki is like in number 7, I think, in my top 10. And then WandaVision is 12. But in reality, if I'm ranking the movie or the shows, they're like this close. WandaVision and Loki. That's the problem with this, is that all of these movies are so neck and neck and neck and neck and neck to me that like,
it's
because
hard.
they're all it's hard. Right. I have to go by, okay, what do I want to watch again right now? That's like the easiest way to arrange it. And I will tell you, when I did the rewatch with the girls, I have 2 daughters, for those of you out there that don't know, and we just recently rewatched all the Marvel movies because they hadn't seen some of the earlier ones. And we did this last summer. My ranking completely changed because it had been forever since I had seen them. And so I had to rearrange everything then, and now I just rearranged it again. And it's crazy. But what would you give, what rating do you give Eternals?
Oh, I gave Eternals a 5 out of 5. It's working on a 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm still working on the review. I saw it Monday.
Yes.
So I've been trying to write without spoilers, and
it's hard,
and that's why it's Wednesday and I've still not put anything out because I'm trying not to spoil anything. But
then, it doesn't even come out till next Friday. Like, it's not even this Friday.
I know. So I'm just like, okay, so this Friday I'll probably have my review up. but I'm trying to kind of piece it all together and explain how I feel about the movie without putting too much out there. But I really love it. I really do. And I love where it's going, where it hints that it's going. But I think that this film, people will love it because it's stunning. It's beautiful to look at. I mean, Babylon.
Oh my gosh. I
know. The blues, the golds. Usually when you see like an ancient, so we talked about it going back and forth. And if you know from the comics that it has those ancient cities in there.
Right.
So one of the ancient cities, usually it's just all desert, all browns, all, the only color is like the fabrics. No, like the city itself, you got the stunning blues and golds and greens, and how it, like the backdrop of the desert. It's like, it doesn't look like a desert. It doesn't look like that bleak, dry. It looks like an amazing, enchanting place.
Because Chloe got her hands on it.
I think she was the best person to do this. To do this. And I think, to me, she shows a lot of people on, in the studio, on the DC side, because we have this ever-running fight over here with the studio to kind of keep their hands off of the movies, because they're like a helicopter mom. They have to be there and keep them over their shoulder. It kind of shows that, if you just let the creator just have it, then they can do some stunning stuff, some new stuff, some fresh stuff. I think that for the most part, people will enjoy it. I know,
it's going to be divisive, I think, unfortunately. And I think it's the people that are going to be like hardcore, I want a Marvel movie, this isn't Marvel, that are going to be upset. But like, everybody knows, am I a massive Marvel fan? Jonita, just tell me, am I a massive Marvel fan?
Just a little bit.
Just a little.
Just a lot. Just a little bit. I say to Dr. Strange behind you.
I know, right? My Iron Man chair. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. It's just, you have to just go in with an open mind. Just enjoy it and watch it and take it all in. And I think so many people are like, man, it's long. Man, there's too many characters. Man, it's this. And it's like, they're literally introducing to you 12 new characters. It's not just the 10 Eternals. It's other people too. And then not to mention other side people. Like, you just... they have to have their time. And so it is a heavy movie. It is a dense movie. There's a lot to unpack in it. But if you allow yourself to be completely immersed, like, it's so good. Like, just, it's not go, 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 go action. And yes, there's some moments that you have to like live in, but I feel like it lets it breathe, which is what I love about this. It's not like, oh, and here's this character and this is what they do. And here's action. And here's this character and here's what they do. And here's a big fight. It's like you get to know these people and they get to breathe, which is something I really appreciated about this film.
Yes, and I agree with that. I mean, and everyone is fleshed out. I mean, usually you have like the strong guy who's all muscles and doesn't say anything. We don't know where the heck he comes from.
Right.
Even that guy in this group has something that
I know.
And the person who's there for comedic effects. Usually they are just the funny guy. And you
my God.
Get anything.
Kingo is so good.
Oh my goodness. Kingo was, I'm like, I love this guy.
He's so perfect in this because he's hilarious, but he's also like got some deep stuff too. But like he throws out those one-liners that are just had me dying.
Everywhere. And then Kingo's person.
Yes. He's so great. I know. All right. I feel like we're getting a little too.
Yeah, we are getting too close. But all I want to say is, and I think that the diversity, I'm going to say it, Tessa, I'm going there.
I know.
I think the diversity in the film is going to be a problem for a lot of people. I mean, when I was walking out of the theater, I'm walking out. First of all, there was not a lot of people of color, critics of color, in my screening. And I'm walking out behind a group of older white guys. Sorry, guys.
Oh, no, you're muted. What happened? Oh, no, you're muted. Where'd you go?
My mic unplugged. I hit it. I'm a hand talker and I just had to hit my mic. But I was like walking out with these guys. They're older critics. I'm not even going to say who they are because you'll know. America will know these people and I'll be totally shamed. But anyway, I'm walking out behind them and I'm shocked to hear them say things about how meh the picture was. And I'm like, did you just see what I just saw? Are you kidding me? Meh. you know? And they're just talking about, you know, I heard bland and I'm like, what is it going to take to move you? What is it going to take to move you?
I don't, and I've seen a lot of that. And I think it's funny because we have like a group of 6 kind of that walked out together from the movie. 2 loved it. 2 thought it was okay. 2 hated it. And it's like, I just think that's how this movie is going to be. But I don't know.
Everybody's going to be
100% why. I really don't.
Because there's a lot of people that are not going to be able to relate to it right away because it is so different.
Yes, that's true.
Your person that you've got primary camera on is Asian. I mean, your main lead is Asian.
Yeah.
An Asian woman.
Right. And then there's some stuff in here that a lot of they'll say they didn't care, but they care, and what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I don't want to fully dive into it, but we'll talk about it in a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, so, there's going to be a lot about that. Yeah.
And that's the thing is, it's like, not everyone who didn't like it, that's not going to be their hang-ups. 100%.
No.
But there will be people who have issues with that.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna see it, and I think I wanted to add this in there just to tell people. When you do go to the theaters, you're going to be hearing this. And when it does come out, you're going to be hearing this. Prepare for it. Just prepare for it and prepare to just mute those conversations because they're going to be everywhere.
Yeah. It's awful. All right. We'll get more into this in a couple of weeks. We'll dive really fully into it. And I'm excited to talk spoilers of Eternals when it's out, you guys, because there's so much I want to talk about and dive into. There's so much. I'm just like thinking about it in my head. But let's talk real quick. Titans. Season 3, best season yet, I think by far. And it's over. And
first season I didn't go to sleep on.
It kind of felt like it wrapped up, right? That was funny that you threw me off for a second saying that. I like that. But then they just announced at DC Fandom that there's going to be a season 4. So one thing I'm very sad about, and then there's one thing I'm very happy about. The thing I'm very sad about, well, there's a couple things I'm sad about, I guess. But I'm mainly sad that Jason Todd, played by Karan, who we had on the show, I absolutely adore. He kind of walks away and he says he's done and he's leaving Gotham. Now, in the comics, Red Hood is kind of his own vigilante type guy in Gotham, though, right? So I hope he's not gone for long.
He does take somebody who's in Titans right now along with him. She ends up I put it out there. One of the ends up working with him. Yeah, in the comics. Who? Darkfire, they end up like together.
See that
for briefly in one. Okay, I've got to put this out there. Briefly in one storyline of Titans, they started working together. I've got to clarify that.
Right,
I said this before and got like people jumped down my throat. No, they didn't. I'm like, okay, yes, in one run.
Right, exactly. Well, that's the thing about comics is it always changes. But so. That makes me happy because I was like, I don't want to see him gone and him walking away. I will tell you when Bruce said son to him after he walked out and he didn't hear it. And I just was a mess. I was crying. So I really hope he comes back because I think he was amazing in this.
Typical Bruce.
I know. And then I'm so excited for Tim Drake, who's clearly going to be the next Robin here, which I'm very, very happy about. Last week we had Jay on the show and he's amazing. I could have talked to him for hours and hours. And he's a Mama's Geeky fan, which was kind of cool. Kind of fun.
It's amazing.
But I'm excited for him. And because at the end I was like, no one's saying bye to him. Like they're getting on the RV and he's like standing there. And I was like, no one's even going to say bye to Tim. And then they're kind of like, are you coming with us? And I was like, yay, Tim. I'm so happy for him, But the season overall really kind of love Raven at the end being like, here, Crane, take all of our traumas and just ingest it. Like literally ingest it. Let me throw it up and you ingest it, which was a little weird. But what did you think of this season overall? If you want to give
trauma, let's receive trauma.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it was nice. It's very karma, right? Coming back at him. But what did you think of the season overall? I know. I need to think on it. We'll come. Yeah. You guys let us know in the comments what you think. Because
Darkfire and Superboy, we need a ship name for them because it's happening. The hand clasp at the end.
But she's going home.
But she's coming back. Oh my gosh, she's coming back.
But she has a whole planet to
she's gonna come back. She's gonna come back.
I hope.
I mean, the hand clasp at the end. they're gonna come back, and it's not like he can't go and be with her.
Well, they need to. He can't breathe on the planet, but they are making the thing for him. They said,
yeah.
So that he can.
See.
I know. I hope. I don't know. What are your expectations or hopes for season 4 besides them two getting back together?
I mean, that's all I got.
That's all you care?
So far, is them two. No, but I hope that with us seeing the detective this season, Detective what's her face, we can. I'm terrible with names, people. If you hadn't figured that out yet, but if we seeing her, I'm like, okay, so are we gonna get the birds?
Oh, that's in Batwoman.
The Birds of Prey.
That's in Batwoman you're talking about.
I know, but is it going
to tie in? I know.
Yeah.
Because they're in the same universe, right?
Yeah, they are. So I'm wondering, is there going to be like a tie-in with the birds and Batwoman? And, just like, yeah.
That would be cool.
I'm wondering, or are we going to get a peek over here? Because I would also like to see the Birds of Prey, the Titan version.
Right.
The Titans version, and then... because I know the CW version of the Birds of Prey and the HBO Max version of the Birds of Prey are two different birds. Okay,
right?
They're gonna be two different. they're gonna be two different.
Probably, but who knows? I don't know when it comes to DC. You can't trust them to.
You can't because they jump the shark all the time. Yeah, but anyway, I want to see. I want to see who else gets to visit. Who else comes?
I know. Well, I think they're gonna be. I imagine. I don't know anything. This is total guess. But because they spent pretty much all season in Gotham, they'll probably be in San Francisco for the majority of season 4. Mm-hmm. Is my guess. They're going back home. I think they're going to spend the whole season out there, let it breathe. I mean, I'd be cool if they went back and forth like every season. Like then next season, they come back to Gotham. Then they go back out to San Francisco. Like I'd be okay with that. But I just want more Red Hood and more Jason. So yeah, and that's me being selfish. So I want some Gotham something.
They can't stay too far away from Gotham. But then there's also in the history of Titans, you've also got all these other characters. You've got Cyborg. Right. You've got Aqualad. Are we going to see some of these others that kind of come up?
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. That's all we can say. They haven't said anything. Obviously, we just found out they just renewed it for season 4. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I think we can pretty much guarantee is Tim Drake is going to suit up as Robin, which I'm so excited for. I felt like he earned that this season. Yeah. Really earned that this season. So
I can't wait to see the suit. I know. Yeah.
Did you see he tweeted? Listen, Jay tweeted out, "Can I borrow someone's Robin suit for Halloween? Mine hasn't come yet." With like a face. I was like, "Oh my God, Jay! I love it. Oh, it's so great." But I'm just excited for it because we know that's gonna happen. I mean, clearly. I'm sure he knows. I'm sure the scripts are out there to them already. And all I can say is I'm excited for that. And I hope that Curran comes back somehow. I want Jason there. I don't care if he ends up in San Francisco, if they show him in Gotham, or if they just show him wherever the heck he ends up. I really don't care. I just want him because I thought he was fantastic this season. Yeah. Really, really great character arc. Really great character arc, especially coming around at the end and being like, "I wasn't here, guys. I helped you, but don't tell anyone. Like, this was the Titans, and I'm just leaving." And I was like, "Jason, no, don't do it."
But he doesn't stay gone long though in the comics though. That's the
thing.
He
does not
stay gone long at all, and so he has to come back, and he has to build his own organization. Yeah. So that's another thing I'm looking for.
Well, hopefully it happens in season 4. I don't want to wait too long. Yeah. So, and hopefully they can just continue this momentum because season 3 was like leaps and bounds above 1 and 2. And I'm hoping they can continue that. So they just have to learn to write for Starfire and we're good. That's it. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do, DC writers. That's it. So easy. Should be so easy.
Yeah.
That's all.
It should not be this hard.
It should not.
Sorry. I was hoping that at the end they would get better. There'd be some kind of reconciliation at the end of her character. No,
not so much. She even got all mad at Connor for blowing up the thing, and Blackfire didn't even get upset, but she got upset, and I was like, all right, here we go. Like, your sister don't even care. She forgives him. Let's go. Yeah. Why are you gonna be angry?
I just kind of sat there like, Really? We're doing this? We're doing this? Okay, we're doing this. Okay. All right, let's do this.
I know. All right. Well, anyway, that's our show, guys. Next week, I am not going to be here. I'll be in Hawaii. Poor me. I know. Feel bad for me.
Yeah, I'm taking pity right now.
Yes. And then the next week will be a little bit later. We don't have the time yet, but stay tuned. Joe will probably know by next week, and she'll let you guys know.
But the week after will probably be a nighttime show.
I know, because I'll be getting home at like the time we would go live, and I will have been traveling for like almost a full day, so I will need a little bit of rest before we dive back in. But I will be here because we are going to have to get right into those Eternal spoilers because the movie will already be out, so I'm excited to do that. Compare it to the comic books. I got notes. I got notes, guys. But thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Tessa Smith. You guys can follow me everywhere at Mama's Geeky. Check me out at mamasgeeky.com.
I'm Jonita Davis. You can find me everywhere at Jonita L. Davis and at theblackcape.com and Black Cape Media everywhere else.
Yeah. And what other, do you have the list of shows here?
Oh,
anywhere?
Yes. Yeah, I do not have it up.
Okay.
I could go ahead and catch the next show that's going to be coming on tomorrow after us is Trending in Hollywood.
Yes.
They've usually got some great stuff going on. They're fan casting. And just like anything everything that's going on that people are talking about, they're going to be talking about on there. So join Kristen and Yael there tomorrow on the HCA YouTube.
And really just subscribe, right? Hit that notification bell, and then it'll tell you when we're live. So there you go.
It will. So, all right.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.